Welcome, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? First two cards we are starting our day off with today are... Oh man, we can't escape this card right now. It's fine. Okay. I'm saying that because we are starting our day today with the Eight of Swords in its upright in combination with the Ten of Pentacles in its upright. This card should look familiar. We had this card yesterday in the second position that we identified in our reading. Now, one of the things that we're effectively seeing at this time is working through the context or working through the concept of being able to recognize and identify. And I got to talk about this. We're going to talk about this right now. I'm not surprised to see the fact that we're going through a Taurus season and it's working through the space of irritability. It's working through navigating frustrations, right? Because frustration is the fiber of productivity. And a lot of this work that I see that's happening right now has to do with the fact that we've got a lot of big transits that are coming up. We're about to move into a Scorpio full moon in the midst, and this is what's important to note here, because this is where we're going to kind of have to work through this. The timing of a Scorpio full moon during Taurus season is not necessarily ideal, but it all is very fitting as it relates to the lessons that we're working through. And it has to do effectively with identifying how Taurus energy navigates change. Now, and in a way, I like to point this out. This is why I always like to describe that like Taurus and Scorpio are like opposites, okay? Because Scorpio energy is like change, like Scorpio energy sees like change, like Scorpio energy hears change and like gets out a chainsaw. You know what I mean? Like Scorpio energy is like, let's see what happens. You know what I mean? Like Scorpio like loves change. Scorpio is like, you know what, we could do it, we could do for a little change in here. Like, like it's like they're always looking for change. Like Scorpios get bored very easily for that reason. Taurus, not so much. I always like to describe, the way I like to describe Taurus in relationality to change, you probably heard me give this analogy before, is if you've ever seen Wayne's World, Taurus is Garth, right? And it's like, Taurus is like, when someone comes up to Taurus and they're talking about all the things that are about to happen that are good things, like, I don't know if you remember that scene with like Garth, like with the clock, he's like working on a clock and like someone's talking to him about the changes that are going to happen. And Garth just like starts bashing the clock and just looks at the person and goes, we fear change, right? It's because, and it's working through, and a lot of the lessons that we see that are occurring right now are having to do with the nature of a lot of the lessons that the Taurus energy comes here to learn. And what is a lot of the energy? The thing with Taurus energy is it's majestic energy. It's working in the context of majesty. I've been talking about this. This is why we show our shoulders when we see energy that that is majestic, because it's understanding that when we carry something that's heavy, but we do it with grace, we become energetically majestic, right? But that work, it's not, you bear it well. It's not easy. It's not easy because it's heavy, right? And that's why I was even telling you guys, like from a practical perspective, don't try lifting something right now if you know it's too heavy, because I feel like everybody's like working through like being like it's a little bit of this like sense of like feeling like working through strength right now in all of its forms. Now, one of the things that I'm seeing, and I think in that way, and I need to point this out, and we're going to talk a lot about this in the class that's coming up next week on the death card, which I'm like, I feel like the timing of this is energetically perfect, especially with this Scorpio full moon coming through, because, and working through the concept of understanding that change is constant. It reorients our relationship to it to a certain extent. But it might be a little bit harder for those who have Taurus placements, because one of the things that we see that Taurus energy often comes here to work through is Taurus have a very refined sense of comfort, right? It's like the princess and the pea energy. It's hard for Taurus to find their comfort zone. And once they do, there's a tendency of not wanting to leave it. Okay? Being like, you know what I mean? Like you just hold on to it. But the paradox of comfort is the fact that the only way that you find new comfort, like more comfort, is being able to push out of your comfort zone, right? You have to be able to like push that energetic envelope to a certain extent. And that is why we see that working through a lot of the energy right now may feel a little similar to a Mercury retrograde, because it's working through the context of the difference between a groove and a rut. And what's the difference between a groove and a rut? It is the rituals, it is the patterns, it is the things that we find in our lives that are nourishing, that are energetically sustaining, that feel like they support us, versus the energy of a rut, which feels like a drag. It feels like a boo. It feels like a lot of that energy that goes, you know what I mean? Like it's the grind, right? The struggle that feels like it's energetically real. So I keep on seeing like a lot of this work is saying, how can I take the grind and move it into a groove, right? Because when we look at things, right? When we look at things and we get pragmatic, when we get practical, this is like the welcome to Scorpio full moon, right? You don't sit there and perseverate about the fact that something stinks. You say, what can I do to try to make it energetically better, right? Like lighten up the joint. Like, and here's the thing, continuing to get clarification on this is having a different impact depending on the frequency cycles right now. Energy and separation, we've got here, boom, Queen of Wands in its upright. I gotta tell you, like this is surprise. I need to point this out. This is very intriguing because, how do I explain this? Masculine and feminine energy right now are going through asynchronous lessons, working on the same stuff. For a lot of the, I want to say for a lot of the masculine energy right now, and I want to describe that. How do I explain this best? So I'm going to start with the energy and separation, and then we're just going to move through the frequencies. As I mentioned, I'm reading into the fact that a lot of the energy right now in separation is in magician energy. And why are we seeing that a lot of the energy is in magician energy? They're embracing their authenticity. These are relationships that are prioritizing the ability to be authentic in the self. And the difficulty about that has to do with building into the sense of feeling comfortable with the self, right? Because, and I keep on like, and this is why I keep on hearing that there's a lot of this energy in separation. Because it's like when you say to the self, be yourself, it's easier said than done, right? Like I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the feminine energy, this is very hard because this is feminine energy healing from that desire. Like I keep on seeing it's like it's more of the energy, the feminine recalling energy right now, right? Like working in that space of not being too hard on themselves, not building in the space of trying to be too, like working in the space of trying not to feel like too much like people pleasing, right? There's a lot of the feminine energy that I'm seeing here across all the frequencies that's building into that context of trying to not be so hard on themselves. But that's difficult, right? Because there's a lot of this, and I think that this has a lot to do, this is all of that work that we saw during the Venus retrograde, right? The over concentration on what others think that often creates that sense of anxiety within us. But this is why I see the energy of the feminine that says, if I'm energetically good with myself, then there's a lot of the feminine energy that's articulating and saying that that is something that the counterpart will energetically celebrate within, right? Because when we find our authenticity, we become a beacon for the energetic counterpart that's in alignment to us. But often when we're coming into it, it feels like it's clumsy stuff, right? Like it feels like when we're becoming authentic, it often feels like we're just letting it all hang out there, right? But this is a lot of the feminine energy that is finding, like I keep on hearing, like finding the ability to articulate upon how they feel, and in that space, like finding new lever, like when you push your energetic comfort zone, you create the ability of another person to find you there, is what I keep on hearing. Now for masculine energy right now, wow, this card just slid right out. I was going to talk about masculine energy. It's interesting because we see even now, and this is literally a continuation on what I was reading yesterday. I'm not surprised to say when I pulled up the masculine energy, the Empress came up in its reversal. Now, this is very intriguing because you'll see that this is the same card that we had in yesterday's reading. It was in the second level. Because for masculine energy, I see that there's almost a lot of masculine energy right now that is healing by way of releasing grief. Because if this is masculine energy that is coming into harmony with their feelings, right? Healing from the illusion that in order to be in their masculine vibration, they have to surrender their emotions, right? Understanding that Stoicism is not about surrendering emotions. It's not about disassociating. It's finding the strength to feel what one feels, but be intentional throughout it, right? This is what we mean by non-attachment. This is what we mean by working towards being an observer in the self, right? It doesn't mean that you don't care about things. It means that you allow the ability to feel the things you feel and to be intentional in terms of how you move through them. I just keep on seeing that there's a lot of this energy here of masculine that is potentially recognizing and identifying and letting go of that illusion of rejection. Because everything that's happening here is this is the masculine that's reaffirming and saying, if there's a feminine that feels that expressing my emotions makes me look weak, then that's a masculine that says that's clearly not the feminine for me, right? So you can see that both of these, and I keep on hearing like a lot of the masculine in this space being like, having emotions is not, and this is cool too. Like I hear the masculine energy saying having emotions is not something that is solely like owned by feminine. And right. And it's like, yes. And now they're healing from it. Feminine saying being energetically strong is not something solely owned by masculine. So we have a lot of this work that we see that's happening right now. And that ability to articulate, like these are the energetic counterparts that we're seeing right now, right? They're reclaiming things that they feel like they lost by coming into deeper authenticity with the self in the process. And then by doing so, they're creating the space of being able to be seen in order to be found by counterpart. Fifth card for today's spread, talking towards the energy coming into divine union. And I don't know if you just saw what happened. I went to grab the deck and there's a card that was stuck to the table. So this is our card right now. Not easy. not easy. It's rough on them spiritual streets. You know what we're going to say here? A good spiritual journey is not easy all the time. That's indulgent, right? It's not no earmuffs when it comes to a good spiritual journey. It's not like la, 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 la. It's working in the context of feeling the energetic difficulty point, right? Because the difference, and I keep on seeing like there's a lot of this work that is happening right now. And this is what I keep on hearing, like the one identifying factor right now across all the frequencies is the identification point that the struggle is real, right? Being able to understand what one is working on, being able to understand what one is identifying and recognizing and working towards. Now, for masculine and feminine coming into divine union, this is why I keep on seeing that this is a little bit of that uncertainty that's happening right now, because you'll understand that we saw that these are the chariot partnerships that started that basically moved into divine union right around the time that Mercury and Venus woke up or came out of retrograde. Now, the thing that we're seeing about that is understanding, finding that consistency and partnership is creating a heart opening. And that's why we talk about the fact that healing from trauma requires that space of identifying and recognizing. Sometimes we don't know what we've been holding on to until we finally come into a place that it feels like it's safe to energetically express it. So I just keep on seeing that for a lot of that energy, working through those processes. This is the energy that's like, I keep on hearing the energy say, how are you doing? Never better. How are you feeling? Never felt worse. Why is the energy saying, how are you doing? Never been better. How are you feeling? Never felt worse. Because that is a lot of the space that we see that happens with a heart opening because the higher ground that they're finding in partnership is helping them see something volatile from the past that they didn't even know that they were carrying within them. But that's why we see that a lot of that energy working in the context of the sacred embrace, giving each other that reality check and saying to each other, this is the sanctuary, right? The reason you're feeling like that is because you're finally in a space that's safe enough to be able to let that out. Because often the body holds on to things, not even us knowing and being aware of it until it feels safe enough to energetically express it. This brings us to the energy deep within divine union right now. Can I have one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with our King of Cups energy. I just see there's a lot of like, I'm identifying right now for a lot of the energy deep within divine union. There's like an outpouring energy here, which I think is really profound. Because for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, I just keep on seeing that there's that message that says when you're moving with intention, it's not conditional on what is found there, right? It's a lot of that space of working towards something and not like it's like it's and I need to point this out, right? Like, and this is why we don't get bitter, right? This is why bitterness doesn't make any sense, right? Because when we're in that space of, I keep on seeing like working through anxiety, working through fear, like when we start harboring, there's a lot of letting go of the past that's happening right now for energy deep within divine union. And I'm not surprised to see it given where we see the energy coming into divine union and deep within divine union, because I keep on hearing that there's a lot of that energy like working on the space of energetic release, because I keep on hearing bitterness is the pain. When someone hurts us, that's trauma. When we choose to carry the trauma in a way that hurts us, that's bitterness, right? Like bitterness is the pill we force ourselves to swallow on something instead of letting something go. And so I just keep on seeing that there's something about trying to move something into a vibration that allows something to almost move into a space of working towards peace, right? But almost, again, not avoiding something, right? Because avoiding is not making peace. Avoiding is avoiding, right? I keep on seeing the energy doing that work in terms of identifying and working in the space of, being identifying what it is they need to do and building into the context of the counterpart that helps them recognize and identify where that work begins and also where that work ends, which is really beautiful, right? Like, because that's the energy that like, it's giving me a lot of that. And I'm not surprised to see this because we're moving into Gemini energy. It's giving me a lot of that start, stop, right? Like moving, like pulling forward, pulling backwards, doing a lot of that type of work. Clarification between our 10 of Pentacles in combination with our Queen of Wands. Can I get one card to clarify, please? There's that magician energy that we're talking about. So I want to show you right now what we're seeing in the cards and why it's so beautiful to see how the energy in separation is challenging themselves right now. Right? Because we're talking about the fact that magician energy is working on the prioritization of partnerships that are under no illusions, right? That's the space that articulates, and I can hear the energy saying, when we try to, and it has to do, it's a conversation in relationality to manifestation. And we talk a lot about the fact that a healthy manifestation is not one that requires you to disassociate as you move closer to it. Right? You can have anything you want, but what's the point of having something if it doesn't feel the way that you want it to feel, right? This is why we move and navigate in the space of authenticity, because that ability of being energetically authentic creates the space of allowing something to feel good and is good, because you're not having to put up the false sense of self in order to maintain or energetically sustain it. So for a lot of the energy that I'm seeing here, this is why it feels like such a space, like a challenging space, because I don't know why I'm picking up on this for some energy in separation, but it's almost like there's energy, and it's different for masculine and feminine, because this is where I see some of this Pluto retrograde working through. I see some feminine energy that feels anxiety being themselves for fear that another will perceive them as being energetically overly confident. But that's why I almost hear the energy of the higher self in conversation with some of the energy in separation saying, what's wrong with being energetically confident, right? Like where, and discovering, I keep on saying discovering a wound in the process. Well, welcome to Leo and Mars, right? And this is why we ask ourselves questions, because we discover blind spots, right? The question behind the question. So I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy of the feminine, this is almost the feminine working through that space. I can almost hear a lot of the energy of feminine healing the anxiety of embracing their own confidence by saying, like, I almost see the energy saying, like, the manifestation of the energy that's for me will not be averse to me being in my confidence. They will appreciate and see me there and find that to be energetically like harmonious, right? Like this is a lot of the energy, like it's coming through that space of, again, releasing the falsehood of rejection. For masculine, this has more to do with the emotional space, right? This has more to do with the masculine trying to heal from that false premise that in order to embody their energetic masculinity, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to, that they can't have any feelings on things, right? that ability to be introspective, right? To navigate through, to be able to articulate upon, I just keep on seeing, it feels very much, I see it even here. Like I can almost see masculine energy trying to, like, and I need to stress, this is what I find is wild right now with some of these magician relationships that are starting. Masculine is trying to work on being less confident, if that makes sense, right? Not feeling like they have to put on that false, like that. I keep on hearing not feeling like they have to put on that false veneer is what I'm seeing, right? Like while feminine, right? And this is the masculine saying me being my authentic self, where I don't need to feel like I'm so confident. Like I keep running the masculine say, my feminine will find that energetically strong, right? like that is confident. Like that's the irony of it, right? Like this is masculine working through, like shedding the veneer. And this is feminine that's working on building up the courage. So we've got both of these energies. I told you there's asynchronous lessons that are happening right now in masculine and feminine energy working towards the same endeavor, authenticity. While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union, clarification between our Queen of Wands and our Empress energy. Can I get one card to clarify? Ace of Swords. Ace of Swords. It's a heavy load to carry. I didn't know I was carrying that, is all I keep on hearing, right? And this is why I think there's something so beautiful and profound that we're seeing that's happening right now for some of the energy coming into divine union, because these are the chariot partnerships that we saw that are working in that context. And that ability of doing so, that ability of navigating, that ability of articulating, that ability of recognizing, right? This is the energy that's releasing all of the trauma that they've been carrying up until this point. But what's beautiful about it, and I keep on seeing this for a majority of those relationships, the ability to articulate through it, healing the heart and throat chakra instead of reacting to it, right? This is effectively the heart opening, because this is the energy that's finding the ability to release and articulate upon what they've been carrying in the safe embrace of healthy partnership. And again, their ability of grounding in the reality of that, when the energy is able to articulate upon it, then the past becomes the past, right? it stays in the past, and the future becomes the present. Because when we don't do that work, right? This is why we heal from trauma, because if we don't heal from trauma and we experience joy, it doesn't feel real. And if we're not ready to heal, right, we will push back against the unreality of the joy that's waiting for us because of the comfortability of the trauma. So that's why I see that this is the energy that is working through that turbulent arrival that often happens when we reach a point of coming into the sanctum of healthy partnership. Continuing to get clarification between our Empress energy in its reversal in combination with our Five of Swords. This is in relationality to the energy deep within divine union right now. Doing what you can. You know what I mean? Like, I see a lot of this energy. It feels like, you know, I see like there's a lot of when you're concentrating on a lot of moving pieces, you don't sweat the small stuff, is what I keep on seeing. That adaptability, right? That sense of, and I keep on hearing the energy deep within divine union is very pragmatic right now. And what do we talk about when we mean pragmatism? Which is, pragmatism is the gift that you have, that you receive, if you don't dwell on things, right? Because when you dwell on things, if something isn't ideal, right, you bemoan it, right? You roll around on the ground about it, right? That's what happens. But when you're energetically pragmatic, you don't wait for the ideal circumstances to arrive. You just work with what you got, right? Welcome to Jupiter in Gemini, with all of these planets popping back up into Aries, right? It's like it allows for that space of saying, like, you don't wait for the perfect, environment. You create it, right? So I just keep on seeing that a lot of that energy working in that fashion, recognizing and identifying what that work is. Like, I just see that I feel like there's a lot of the energy right now deep within divine union that is navigating less than ideal circumstances and situations with a certain degree of pragmatism, right? It's allowing for some adaptability. It's allowing for a lot of that, like, switching speeds is what I keep on seeing. Continuing to get, and that's the gift that we give each other, because when we're able, like, again, when we're able just to, like, you know, like, be adaptable, and this is where we're going to start feeling some of this Gemini energy that's coming up. Like, the gift of adaptability is looking at a difficult situation and not saying, how dare you, but saying, what do you need? Right? Like, what do you need? Like, it's like continuing to get clarification between our King of Cups and our Magician energy. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our High Priestess in its reversal. These are all the cards that we've been seeing right now, in relationality to the work that we've been articulating and identifying, that has been occurring across the frequencies. And you'll remember, we've been seeing the High Priestess popping up a lot right now. We've been seeing her coming through over the last few days to a certain extent. Now, let's talk about this a bit, because it's very interesting that we see the High Priestess in their reversal. I'm not surprised to see the High Priestess right now in its reversal. We got a lot of big energetic cards out right now, particularly for feminine energy. We've got the High Priestess out, we got the Queen of Wands, and we've got the Empress card. And what's interesting about this right now, and I like this because there's something about the feminine energy right now in a space of non-conformity, right? This is what I think is really intriguing about this. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. What I'm identifying is happening here is this is a lot of the feminine energy that is, like, working through. And I gotta stress this, like, and whenever I see, like, here's the thing, Empress and High Priestess can sometimes be very much oppositional energies as it relates to feminine, right? It's like, are you this or are you that? Are you here or are you there? Are you in your head space or are you in your heart space, right? It's that feeling of energetically needing, when we see these cards together in this way, right? It almost talks about that feeling or that hyper anxiety that feminine often feels to be able to fit in somewhere, right? This is something that, and that's like that space that I see that this is what the feminine's working through. Like, what are you? Like, where are you? What do you, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of that, like, which box do I put you in? And so this is why I see that there's something about the Queen of Wands being here that is the feminine energy. And again, working through authenticity with the Magician that says, I defy definition, right? Because like that's what we do. Like, working towards like that space isn't one, like, it doesn't feel so much like having to feel like you need to like click into a template, but instead breaking the energetic mold, as it were, right? Like, it's like, this is why we see that a lot of the feminine energy is working on healing in that fashion. Now, for masculine energy, this is interesting because I see that this is feeling more like inner child healing, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what one feels the most aligned to. For a lot of the masculine energy right now, this has to do with the masculine, like, reclaiming their emotions, like I keep on seeing why on earth, I see a lot of masculine energy saying, why on earth was I told that I had to leave my emotions behind in order to go on the journey of being a masculine, recognizing that, and I see a lot of the masculine energy healing in some profound way and understanding the journey isn't one of letting emotions go, it's putting away childish things. But when we talk about putting away childish things, we work through, again, starting the process of inner child healing. Because what did we talk about here? We look at emotions like they are children. And when we look at emotions like we're children, we don't just follow what our emotions dictate all the time. That's acting like a child. Okay, that's self-indulgent. That's what children do, right? That's what we mean by putting away childish things. It doesn't mean stop following your joy. It means look to the emotions like you would a child, because we talked about this. Here's the thing with children, right? Children come up to us and they want things, right? Right? And sometimes when children come up to us, they want good things. They're like, I want a sandwich. And you're like, you get a sandwich. Sandwiches are great. And then children are like, I would like four boxes of dynamite and a set of matches. And you go, wait, what? No. Wait, come back here. 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 Right? Because we go through the process of saying, why do you need those things? Right? We don't just follow the child. We don't just follow the child where it leads. We honor the child, right? We honor our emotions by sitting with them and asking, why are you asking for that? And so I see that a lot of the masculine energy is working in that space of reclaiming the emotions, not by feeling like they have to turn them off, but recognizing that we say when we let go of childish things, we become the energetic parent of ourselves. Letting go of childish things doesn't mean to stop being happy. Okay, it doesn't mean stop being happy. It means look at the emotions like you would a child to understand what is in alignment, what is in accordance to the journey of the self that you're trying to go on, right? It's becoming the parent of the child, right? It's becoming the steward of your own energetic journey. So that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of the masculine energy, like that, for feminine, it feels like coming into the self feels like standing their ground. And for masculine, it feels like a journey of reclamation. Continuing to get clarification right now, and that's happening across all the frequencies. Continuing to get clarification between our Magician card and our Ace of Swords in its reversal. Communication. Talking about it. I like this. I love this. Is a big communication day. We got all wands right down the full row right now. So I feel like and I like this because it says to me, Healthy relationship, I keep on getting the beautiful thing about being in a healthy relationship is everything is on the table to talk about, right? And I feel like there's something really beautiful, and I'm even identifying this right now, even for some of these new relationships that are starting. That identification point, that vital connection, if there's something that is difficult to talk about, the difference between someone saying, I don't want to talk about it versus I'm not ready to talk about it, right? The difference between someone saying, how dare you, versus I'm not ready. Because, and I see even now, there's something about those productive conversations. And there's potentially even something I'm seeing for some energy and separation, healing from relationships where there were conversations that were off limits. And that's the thing that we identify. When someone doesn't share manifestation goals with us, oftentimes that'll appear to us as energy that says like conversations that are off limits, right? Like not in that like, and this is why I see that so much of this energy right now is prioritizing authenticity as it relates to those new connections, because that ability, right, of working through, I keep on, like, it's interesting, like there's a lot of energy in separation is healing from someone saying how dare you, right? Like trying to have a productive conversation about something and another person saying, how dare you? That often is indicative of someone being too much in the space of the ego because they don't want to have an energetic conversation. But when we've healed, like I keep on, and this is what we talk about here, when we've healed, our egos, we don't say, how dare you? We say, this is what bothered me, is what I keep on seeing. Right? It's like being able to articulate and work through something, not just because like one is triggered by it. Like how dare you is a sign of being energetically triggered, because it doesn't necessarily articulate upon like how dare you without an explanation is literally someone saying that's off limits. And no, I'm not going to talk about it. And no, I'm not going to tell you why I'm bothered by it. Right? It's just, it's that space of like almost hitting, like I keep on hearing, like hitting the borders of another person's psyche is what I'm getting. Like you hit the borders of another person's psyche is what I get. And that's the thing about it. Like, that's why I keep on seeing that there's something about these conversations that feel, I can see some of these new relationships. It feels like they're having these like very like almost like intentionally provocative conversations sooner rather than later, because they're healing from some kind of relationship where there was a massive blind spot that they couldn't see because they didn't have a conversation soon enough. Bringing us to the energy coming into divine union. This is why I see that for a lot of the energy right now, this is the higher ground that they're in relationship. What are they saying to one another? I love you because I can talk to you about anything. I love you because I can talk to you about anything. Because when we heal our energetic egos, we can have hard conversations. Because when we have a hard conversation, but we don't take things personally, we're able to get pragmatic within them. And this is why I almost see a lot of the energy right now expounding upon the trauma that they're feeling, potentially saying to another, like seeing someone kind of like working through like some kind of emotional unraveling, and someone saying, as long as it's not me, like this is the energy, the counterparts that are saying, as long as I am not the source of that energetic unraveling, as long as this is something that is allowing you to kind of like emotionally let go of something, this is the energy that says to one another, it is a gift to hold you in that embrace, because that's the energy that can I recognize and identify the process of someone releasing trauma by letting go of something, right? Like working through that versus feeling energetically, versus energy that says, what's happening to you? Like, why are you getting, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is energy that's very in tune with each other to such an extent that they recognize that opening up is not because of the anxiety of where they are, but because of the safety that they found in the partnership that allows them to finally express something that they've been holding on to for a long time. While for energy deep within divine union right now, clarification between that high priestess in its reversal in combination with our eight of wands. We've got our ace of wands here. And this is a lot of wand energy today. So I just keep on seeing productive conversations, pragmatic, like working in a space of pragmatism. It's not, when you're able, when you're able to hash something out, it becomes the soil of new beginnings, right? And that's why I keep on hearing like there's something beautiful. There's something that's happening for the energy deep within divine union, which doesn't take things like when we don't take things personally, we can become energetically exceptional, is what I see. Because that moment or those modalities, that's what I keep on this is what we're talking about. We're working through Taurus season. We're working on lessons related to majesty. And what is majesty? Majesty is not looking at a space that's difficult and going, ugh, I'm out of here, right? Like majesty is rolling up the sleeves, if you will, and saying, what is it going to take to get something energetically done, right? What do you need? How can I be of assistance, right? It's interesting because we often articulate the idea of majesty being that sense of like throwing one's nose up, but that is not majesty, right? Majesty is found in the ability to navigate, to carry something heavy with grace, with ease, right? Heavy is the head, right? When we bear things. So that ability of navigating through lessons of majesty is often the journey of not, having to distaste towards something, right? Not working towards aversion, but instead building into the concept of being able to say, what is it going to take, right? It's working in the space of the perseverance, right? Because the difference, and we talk about this here, the difference between a wish and a manifestation, there's no waiting on a wish, right? There's no waiting. There's waiting when you're wishing, but there's no waiting in a manifestation. Because when you're waiting, you're wishing, right? When you're wishing, you're waiting. You're not doing anything. When you're manifesting, you got your sleeves rolled up. You're walking in the direction of what it is that you're trying to get to, right? It's not and this is what happens, right? Like when we wish to the universe is like, really? That's rude. You know what I mean? It's like right? It's like, but when we're in this space, right? But when we're in this space of working towards a manifestation, you don't look at the universe and go, where is it? You look at the self and say, what do I have to do to get there? Right? You know what I mean? You don't go, where is it? You look inward and go, what do I have to do to help this along? Right? Like, how can I expedite? How can I move things in accordance with what it is that I hope to achieve? Continuing to get clarification between our Eight of Wands in combination with our Seven of Pentacles in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with this. Geez, Louise, there is so much. I'm sorry. There's like all the feminine cards are out today. Like all of them. I was pointing out the last few days, I'm like, not a lot of feminine energy. Well, here they are. They're all out now. We got everybody. We got the Star out. We got the High Priestess out. We got the Queen of Wands out. We got the Empress out. But I need to point this out. And I think that this is really important because I'm seeing even now, and these two cards together are really beautiful because, and I think it's talking a lot about the journey that we're seeing that's happening right now between masculine and feminine energy. And I think that it's really beautiful because especially as we're moving towards this Scorpio full moon, it has a lot to do with working through the journey of what it feels like to find the self for both masculine and feminine energy. And bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. It's separate journey work. It's separate but equal journey work to a certain extent Because you'll see even here that for a lot of the feminine energy working in this space, right, identifying and recognizing who they are is working into the space of defying definition, right? And often what's hard is when we find ourselves, the song we often will hear is, "You're doing that wrong," right? As you move in the journey of finding yourself, the song you will frequently hear is, "You're doing that wrong." And so for a lot of the feminine energy that's working in that space, the ability to find the confidence of the self, to defy definition, is a lot of the feminine energy that's finding that majestic energy within the self. Because when we stop worrying about being perfect, we allow ourselves to become exquisite. Because that space of identifying and working in the space of not necessarily trying to find your niche, but becoming your niche, right? I just keep on seeing that this is a lot of the feminine energy that's working on the reclamation of the self by letting go of that feeling of having to constantly compare themselves or to others or meet others' expectations of them. And when the feminine does that, they give permission to all the energy around them to do the same. Right? Like the gift, Merry, happy birthday. Everybody gets it, right? Now continuing, right? We've got a lot of the energy right now in separate masculine energy, complete opposite journey, same goal, right? This is a lot of the masculine energy that's working into the space of being like, not having to say, how can I be masculine more? This is masculine being like, I am masculine energy. I am the forest. I am the trees. Everything within me is a gift. I don't need to let go of something about myself to conform to an expectation outside of the self. And when I do so, like, because and especially if I'm disappointing myself in the process, because that's a masculine that says, what's the point of having something if I can't be my authentic self in the midst of receiving it? Because when we go through those journeys, like, that's a masculine that understands and goes, you know what, I can't have anything I want. But it's not about having things. It's about what it feels like when you get there. A healthy manifestation does not require one to disassociate as one moves closer to it. It helps you find yourself, not lose yourself. So I keep on seeing that there's a lot of the masculine energy that's working in that space of saying, my authentic energy is such that, again, rejection is the illusion. If I'm in my authenticity, and that doesn't mean the masculine energy is just being like, you know what I mean? But if this masculine says, if I'm proud of myself, if I'm proud of my accomplishments, if I'm proud of the journey of what it is I'm trying to achieve, I know the energy of the feminine that's for me will love me on that journey, will see me in that capacity. And that's a lot of the masculine energy working in the context of identifying and recognizing that. And I keep on hearing, like, reclaiming masculine energy for themselves by moving the desire to achieve it out from outside the self and going more within the self to discover it. Final card for masculine, and that's why we see even now, for a lot of these energies, this is what it feels like, right? This is the feminine that's moving towards something, and it's hard because the feminine is building into that context of trying to be the authentic self and letting go of the anxiety or fear of rejection, right? This is masculine trying to do that work in authentically expressing how they feel without fearing, and again, anxiety of rejection, working towards authenticity and finding, and in that modality or in that moment, what does masculine feel like they found? Where have you been? I've been looking for you. I've been looking for you everywhere. And the feminine's going, well, I wasn't being authentic. You couldn't see me until now, right? And this is the feminine saying, when did you get so eloquent? When did you, like, how have you communicate better than anything? And masculine says, well, I've been working on it. Talking towards alignment. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is the energy that, again, is coming into that heart opening, coming into divine union. This is the chariot energy that's gotten the stable body, the ground, that often when we go through those heart openings sometimes feels like an emotional unraveling because we didn't realize everything that we're carried up until that time. And this is the energy learning the sacred embrace that says, as long as it's not me, I will hold you through this. As long as it's not me. And this is the energy that says, and the irony of it is the energy says, it is you, thank you, right? Because this is the energy that's saying to one another, were it not for you, I wouldn't have found all this trauma I've been carrying. I would have just felt like this was something that I had to feel all the time. And so that's why I hear this energy that's in that space of saying, no, it hurts. So I keep on hearing them say it hurts so good, because a heart opening hurts so good because we're letting go of something that's painful to experience, but we feel that emotional purge in the recognition that it's finally safe to express it. While for masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union right now, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of this energy deep within divine union right now, a lot of that work is building upon patience. And what's nice about patience, and it has a lot to do with the Aries energy, it's the patience that becomes infinite with progress, right? It's not like the energy deep within divine union is perfect, but they work towards sacred breath, which is, again, we have constant patience for each other because when we have a need, the other arrives with what the other needs to bring forth towards it, right? It is the constant respiration of the articulation of something that another needs that is immediately met with the progress. And that's why I keep on seeing that these are all those Aries and Gemini lessons working in the context of the sacred breath, because that ability to articulate upon what needs to be worked on and then immediately working in, like stepping in that space of how you can adapt and change. This is how this energy looks towards one another and says, I adore you, right? Not because you are perfect, but because with you, I can energetically grow, right? And that space of growing feels like a continual, perpetual expansion, embracing the change every step of the way with delight and reverie. Final card for today's spread. We've got here the I can't believe all the, I cannot. I'm sorry. I'm laughing because literally I was like, we've got all the feminine energy out. And then the Queen of Cups is like, you rang. We're finishing today's spread on the Queen of Cups. So there's a lot of this. I just keep on seeing there's a lot of this work that is being worked through right now. It's giving me, how do I describe this? It's a conversation. Everything that we're seeing right now has to do, and I keep on saying throughout this whole Leo moon, Mars, throughout this whole Mars and Leo, I feel like we're doing a lot of work right now in working through lessons of the Stoic heart. And you have to understand there's a misunderstanding that a Stoic heart is a stone heart. Nothing could be further from the truth. Okay? A stone heart there's nothing healing. There's nothing healed about a stone heart. Often people feel like they've got stone hearts and they try to pass it off as healing. They're like, I'm healed. Nothing hurts me anymore. What are you talking? Are you okay? Are you okay? Like what are you talking about? That is not healing. That is not healing. That's weird. That's weird. Okay, that's weird, right? A stone heart is not a healed heart. A heart is supposed to feel things. It's supposed to feel things. It's great. I become so healed. Nothing no, that's not how it works. Typically a healthy energetic journey, we're going to feel everything. You're going to feel more. You're going to feel more pain. Yeah. You're going to feel more pain. You're going to feel more joy. Your capacity to feel joy is directly proportional to what it is that your heart can hold. This is why it's called a heart expansion, right? The ability to feel something, right? Not to run away from it, to allow yourself to embody the energy of when you can hold, you can hold it. You can find the space to feel that, right? And that ability of identifying that, being able to articulate, right? Being able to articulate why something has meaning. That allows for that ability of possibilities. It allows for those expansion points. And I feel like the beautiful thing that I'm seeing right now is that's effectively happening across all of the frequencies, right? Because that work, right? Love is a force. and a force moves and a force changes and a force adapts. And so I keep on hearing that for a lot of the energy working in that context, right? For the energy, and it's painful, right? Because this isn't the energy that is like, this is energy that is not in the context of looking at situations and saying, oh, this situation sucks, I guess I just need to accept it, right? This is the energy that identifies and articulates and recognizes the difference, that like, yeah, you can go towards a situation, right? And this is the thing about it too. Every relationship we have with someone is a relationship, right? If you want to move towards that avoidant person, knock yourself out. But if you're trying to change the nature by which you're experiencing something that's avoidant, right? And another person doesn't want to, then you are becoming the unhealthy energy because you're not in a space of accepting what the nature of the energetic relationship is. So that ability of navigating, and this is what, right? This is what the Scorpio full moon is going to help us recognize. Everything is possible with the consent, with the ability of mutual recognition as to where the work goes, right? Hope is never lost. But a situation is impossible if it's only one energetically sided. So that's why we work in the space, and this is why we talk here about the journey of surrender. And surrender doesn't mean giving up. It's the opposite. It's holding on to hope and identifying and working with that energetic hope, but understanding that what makes hope become possibility is mutual determination on what something should become. And so that's why I see that a lot of the energy right now in separation is in magician energy, because what are they doing? They're saying this is the start of a beautiful relationship, and they're talking about what they hope and aspire for it to become, right? They're not just saying, let's just see where this goes. Never has someone been more doomed. Like never has anyone been more doomed when someone goes, well, let's just see where this goes. I'm going to tell you where it's going to go. It's going to go in opposite directions, okay? Right? Because that ability of articulating what one hopes, right? And that's what I keep on seeing. Authenticity and hope is the fire that's fueling a lot of these relationships right now. Because this is the energy that's pushing back against the egoic urge to hide, to be able to articulate. And in the moment they do so, they're able to see one another with clarity. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy coming into divine union, there's a lot of this space or a lot of this work that we're recognizing and identifying that this is the energy that keeps on saying, it is an honor to hold you like this. And why is the energy saying it is an honor to hold you like this? Because this is the energy that, again, if this is the energy that has finally reached an even ground, this is the energy that recognizes that when we enter the sanctuary of healthy relationship, sometimes the first thing that comes out in that heart opening is all of that detritus that we've been carrying, all of that pain, all of that sadness, all of that grief. This is energy that is literally in a state of mourning, because they've arrived in the perfect partnership. And this is the energy that sees the energy mourning, and they understand that they're not mourning for what is lost. They're mourning for what is found. Because when we recognize what is for us, then suddenly the grief that we've carried, everything we've been through, right? It feels worth it, but it almost feels worse. Welcome to the heart opening. While for masculine and feminine energy that is deep within divine union, for a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now, I keep on seeing like it's identifying and recognizing and moving towards something in accordance with what one can do. And it's hard, right? Because it's constant calibration, constant questioning. But this is the beauty that I see that the counterparts are giving to one another. If these are the energies that question themselves as they move in the determination point of what they know is best for them, this is the energy that reminds one another, hey, you're concerned because you care, right? You like, it's the irony. I keep on hearing everything's ironic right now, because this is the energy that says you're worried because of your force of care. You identify and fear things because you're energetically careful. The irony is the care that we put to things is where the love is, because when we love something, we worry about it, right? And so this is the energy that almost reassures each other every step of the way and helps calibrate between the fear that we hold inside as it relates to whether we're doing something effectively or in the right way versus what we see on the outside. And this is why we build into the context of having a healthy partnership, because the worst thing you can have is have a fragile ego and be in relationship where someone isn't being honest with you. They're just tiptoeing around you because they're worried about upsetting you. Because that feels like self-assurance, but in fact it is fear. So this is the energy that says to each other, kind, right, but not nice. My commitment to you is such that I will always give you what you need, even if it's not easy to hear, even if it's not the hard thing, because this is the energy, and this is the force of love that is the temperance energy that we see deep within our divine union, that says, I love you, and I will always be kind to you, but I will never go easy on you because I know what you aspire to. Bottom of the deck on this reading, especially with the Seven of Wands in its reversal. It's a weird Taurus season. I'm just going to be completely honest. It's a little bit of a weird Taurus season right now. Because I just want to describe like what we've got happening right now. And I got to say this, like it's a lot of the work of like, and it's weird, but it's good because you have to understand there's a lot of the journey of Taurus energy is working in the context of stepping out of the comfort zone, right? Like Taurus arrive and they're like, like I've found my happy place. And then the Taurus is like, the only way to find new happy place is to push out. It's like the constant birth cycle. You know what I mean? It's like, it's understanding that birth cycles are difficult, but then the things get easier on the other side of it, right? Like the only way to get to a greener pasture is if you're willing to like traverse the pasture in between. Like it's like, and this is why we keep talking right now a lot about the difference between saying that one is moving in a healthy way, but you're really just being avoidant, right? Earmuff energy, like, la, 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 la. It's great. I don't let anything bother me. That's not okay. What are you talking about? Like, that's not okay. It's not about being healed is not about being like nothing bothers me anymore. It's about understanding. It's like understanding what the struggle is and not being bothered by the fact that there is one, right? It's like it's, and it's like, it's like, it's cocoon energy, right? It's working in that space of understanding, working through the cycles. And this is why Taurus and Scorpio, like sometimes butt heads, no pun intended, but like, Taurus wants to like, Taurus is like, everything's fine like it is. Scorpio's like, let's change everything. Like they both can learn something from each other. Right? Because Scorpio can learn the pathwork of perseverance from Taurus, right? Being able to build into that resiliency. And Taurus can learn that change brings deeper levels of comfort. That's where we find, that is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here to receive it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my site. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. So I would encourage you to do it there. A couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the Hangman card. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, May 14th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the death card. It's not that scary, I promise. We're going to focus on the symbology of the card, the history of the card. I'm going to work you through spread applications. I'm also going to be showing you a unique spread in that class. And all you need to do, if you'd like to become a part of that tarot class, is mosey on over to my Substack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live class next week. And if you become a monthly subscriber, you will have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Archive. It's not necessary to catch up. I'll give you my best update on everything we've studied prior to that class, but the material's ready for you to have when you're ready, is there for you when you're ready to receive it. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions you may have in relation to anything that we've studied or are currently learning. And if you become a founding member, not only will you receive a discount on the whole year's worth of classes, you will also have full access to the entirety of the Tarot Church Library Archive. That is access to over 9 hours worth of material in an ever expanding, 13 hours worth of material in an ever expanding library. You'll also have access to the option of receiving a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will meet with you personally and assess where you are on your personal tarot journey to give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage, moving towards your personal tarot goals. One of the things I tried to do with these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us on in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. You'll also be notified to any new offerings that I may be offering. I also post my Mystic Meditation articles there, which gives you updates on what we've been seeing energetically in the cards. I also want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my clients seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. I'm also very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, for those who are seeking more consistent updates on your journey at a budget. I'm also very happy to offer now dream interpretation readings. You can purchase those per dream or as a package. If you purchase the dream interpretation reading package, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal, and we will utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.